I apologize if this is my first go at this being the chair. Um, and I apologize in advance. I didn't have as much time this morning to prepare as much as I wanted to. I was telling telling John
When
earlier.
you
I was been here since 5 o'clock Central Time, and on the radar, working strong and severe storms, pretty much since the crack of dawn. So. Just a little bit about me, real quick. I am the Science and Operations Officer with the National Weather Service in Mobile, Alabama, who is not as drought-stricken, but still, considering that we normally get 60-something odd inches of rain in a normal year, we're still pretty dang dry down here, so we're glad to get the rain. See, I've been the Sioux here this is about a year and a half. Prior to that, I was the Sioux in Brownsville, Texas for about 4.5 years. And some things really quick, and we'll turn it over and do the roll call. And I've been part of this since, I guess, we started the VIT, about a year or so, year and a half ago. And one of the things that I would like to see us do is, and we've done a great job so far, but I'd like to see us have a little bit more of a visionary role, as where do we want to take the VIT instead of, just, approving and I know it's a necessary part of the process, the approving the ticket items and stuff, but to kind of, see what our users' needs are, and just make the VLab all it can be, really, and see and have the team take a more of a visionary role. And I'd even like to throw out the idea of maybe once a quarter having sort of a brainstorming type meeting. That was one of those random synapses firings I had this morning, but anyway, I'll turn it over to John, and we can do the roll call and get on with the rest of the agenda.
All righty, thank you. So I have Reed and Doug and Abraham, Steve and Brian in attendance, which gives us we're actually a couple shy. We're one shy in the NWS category, and then we're one shy in the, no, actually we have enough. Okay, so yeah, we're just one shy in the National Weather Service category for 4.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's where we are, and I guess I'll turn it over to Ken, if you'd like to give us an update on the BIT projects that the
Sure.
GLST is working.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get control. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that, there we go. Okay, so are you guys seeing a page with issues on it, right?
Yeah, we are, Ken.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. Okay, so I've ranked these by the score, the priority, or the impact score. And so the automatic VLab sign-on when the user is logged into Google Apps, that's been completed for VLCS. We've been expending a fair amount of energy over the last month or so on the implementing this in Redmine as well. And so I can show you on our development system, we're going through testing now and on the dev system, and it's implemented there. So we're getting feedback from our internal team, and then based upon that, we'll move forward. So as you can see, I brought up this page. It then allows me to select the account or profile. So if I select that account, it'll then take me and log me in. If one of the things that we're trying to rectify is that So if I sign out, it pops up this dialog just like we do otherwise, because you don't want to leave people logged into Google if they didn't want to be logged in. But one of the things we're trying to address is it's also, if you're signed in to other profiles, it pops those up as well. That's okay if they're NOAA profiles, but if they're non-NOAA, we don't want them to display here. If I did select a non-NOAA profile, it doesn't log you in, which it shouldn't because it's restricted to NOAA, but I don't want those showing up at all. So anyway, that's one of the one of two remaining issues that we have to resolve. But so this is very close. So that's, I think people will find that very useful. Because the deep links and things like that, you're not going to have to, use those credentials. So anyway, that's being developed. On the items that are under profile of 8, there's John sent an email regarding the public-facing web pages and some of the work that's being done on the themes there. So that's out for review. The VLab profile expansion, I don't believe we've gotten to that yet, but we did finally, as of yesterday, the previews for Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. This have finally been implemented, so that can be closed out, and people can confirm that, so that's good. That's issue 17902. In terms of the determining VLab users for each of the organizations, and that has to do with LDAP, and I have one of our developers working on the LDAP, actually 2 different developers working on LDAP components, so we're working related to issues in those areas. There's a change, more control over the community members directory portlet. That actually is in a review state, so I should be able to test that out, and assuming everything works as intended, should be able to have that rolled out within the next week. So that's issue 15466. And so I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's on this list here that we're currently in the process of working on. I think those are some of the big things. We've also been dedicating energy onto some other projects in VLab that are high profile too, like the Ideas Marketplace that was recommended by Eastern Region. That is very close to being complete, and that's in our development instance, so I can show you that really quick. And in addition to that, there's our dev instance. We get this weird behavior sometimes. So here, if I go over here, so we have the Ideas Marketplaces rolled out to here, and so that's coming along nicely, and I can show you that really quickly. So it allows you to come in here, and there are a couple different views, but basically people enter in ideas. The idea details are shown on the left, and then there's a behind the scenes a category, a forum category is created for that. You can subscribe to individual ideas if they interest you, or unsubscribe, and then that ties to both sides of this. So the concept is you can have descriptions, things like that. You can rate the ideas themselves, and then on the main page you can then display those ideas, filtering them amongst the most recent, highest rated, or most viewed. There's also a table type view if that seems appropriate. You can also, we've added links to the ideas so that you can have community or project type links. So anyway, that's very close to being complete. So, and then the other thing that is tied to AWIPS for the Weather Service is there's the AWIPS reference tool, and this is going to give the ability for forecasters as well as users on the system to come in here and basically do searches for content, and so using keywords. And so if I use the right keyword, so you can get this information and then pop it up and it'll directly display the content itself. And so this will be even available from AWIPS workstations. So there's a front-end portlets that were developed for that, as well as the ability for the community administrators to go in and define what content should be found and searchable. So and you can even do it based upon map backgrounds and your domain, things like that. So this is very close to being rolled out to production as well. So anyway, those are some highlights. Are there any questions from anyone?
Hey, Ken. I was one of the guinea pigs a week or two ago for the inaugural offering of the GOZAR course that they have. They're bringing all the Sioux up to Kansas City and indoctrinating us into the GOZAR world.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that was mentioned, and I answered to the best of my ability, but I would like to provide a better answer about the AWIPS reference tool.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing now. Here it's called the Consolidated Reference Tool because we didn't want to make it specific to AWIPS because it has applicability outside of AWIPS. But yeah, same thing.
But they're calling it. It was referenced as something else. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes during the course and integrated something another. But there was some questions raised by some of the Sioux in attendance who are not as familiar with some of the goings on with the team or the the VLab process. About are we going to have to do a separate login from AWIPS? And I explained that we're working on that. But what sort of timeline are we looking at? Just out of curiosity and not much else.
Sure. So the way from start to finish, the process, if like a forecaster or someone within the Weather Service is sitting at an AWIPS workstation, there's connectivity to VLab from there. So unfortunately, single sign-on doesn't work from within the AWIPS network because there's no access to Google, and it does require access. So for logged in type content, so content that isn't guest accessible, you would have to type in your credentials to get to that. Now, what I'm showing you here is this is the way to add content that would be, so this is the community administrator, we're working with Mike Mogzig within OCLO in the Warning Decision Training Division, and so they're developing lots of content within their community. So what they're going to do is they're going to go into their community, they're going to define what content they want to add and make searchable. So basically they come in here and they select the content, the assets itself. They can, I keep typing on the wrong keyboard. So you just do a search and actually typically you're doing it, I did a wildcard and so it pulls up specific content, it's paginated. So basically, normally it would be something specific, but let's just say the publication requirements. So they would select that particular content, and then you specify what scope, permission scope for the reference. So if they wanted to make that publicly accessible, they could do that here. This will actually correct the permissions for it so that it would be found from a guest user. And then there are certain fields that they fill out, so that would be helpful to a forecaster, like the duration of the reference material itself, the number of pages or minutes or time that they've spent to read it. And then So let me just do one page. And then a source would be, for example, Oklo, or it could be someone else. And then these are optional parameters. It could be that you specify that it's specific to a particular WFO or an RFC, and that can be defined, and those are additional search terms, and you can give it a thumbnail. So basically, you save this. You can see that it tells you, okay, do you want those permissions that you've set? I'm going to say don't fix right now. And then that then becomes one of the entries in here. So then if I like search for historical, if I go back to the front page, so so now you can see that that particular entry came up, and then the forecaster. So from the forecasters in, what they're doing is, what's going to happen there is they're sitting in front of Cave, they have particular products loaded, and then you can right-click and say find reference material. That's then going to basically pre-populate, and it's going to send a search over. It's going to open up a browser, make a request to here, and then these keywords and things like that are going to be pre-populated, as well as a location from the extent of the display within D2D. By default, we're only selecting the keyword, so and it's going to, I believe the way it's designed is it will do the search automatically when you get to it. So it's pre-populated, you do the search, and then it's going to show you those content. And in this case, historical, there's only one entry in there right now. So, and then the forecaster will have the ability to just click on it. So,
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Well, we can give a, well, I'm assuming that we're probably going to be giving demos and things like that. I know that, you know, some of the test beds, they're anxious to have this rolled out into production. That's why we're pushing hard to have it done this week. And then that'll allow them, they've been doing some testing against dev, but they really want it against production because that's where the data's, or the content itself is being fleshed out.
All right. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
All right, any more questions for Ken before we move on to our next agenda item?
Could Ken show quickly an example of the preview of documents, Google or Microsoft Documents?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let's show that. So if we come over here and we go back to the main community, if I click on it. Okay, and so I'm going to just go to the science sharing section because I know there are documents in there. And so what you need to do is you need to look for something that's not a PDF. So let me change this to, and if I remember correctly, I think there's something at towards the end. So, okay, so here's a document that's a Word document. So now if you click on it, now you can see there's a preview there. So whereas before those weren't there. So you can, just like PDFs and things like that, you have access to it without having to download it,
Perfect.
which is nice. And then the other thing that you can do is you can click and download it as a PDF. Okay.
Good. Go back, if you can, just to the page that you were on, and scroll up a little towards the top. So, and it was even better, I think, when you were in the, it might have been the reference community or somewhere else, but you can stay here. This is just an example that I wanted to bring up related to the discussion of templates and themes. I haven't commented on that thread yet, but you know, the new themes are somewhat nice. But one of the things that we also probably need to think about is sort of the hierarchy and what things should go where. Just for example, you've got the virtual lab banner right now on the top that takes up more of the screen than I think it should, and it sort of detracts from the actual content of the page. Also, there's things I would note where if you're under the virtual lab banner, you've got sort of multiple bars across the top, and it can be confusing to users as to what is indicating what in those bars. You know, you've got like multiple title type bars, and that could be confusing to users in understanding the hierarchy of VLab pages. So it's just something that I wanted to point out while you were on VLab pages. So.
Sure. Yeah, those are all considerations in developing a new theme. So I think that Kongming and Tao, who are the two within NSSL, they've tried to take those sorts of things into account. I agree. There's definitely too much space here. We should eliminate some of this. Some of the things that you want to still have is the global search capabilities. So, but we can, yeah. So we'll have to look at those things and make sure. And if they haven't done a good job with that, make suggestions, and that's part of this process. So, thanks, Brian.
Okay, so I guess next we're going to move into the review of a number of candidate bit issues. These are issues that have been submitted either from the VLST, for example, or from users of the VLab, and they have been submitted to a particular person within the VIT, and that individual then reviews them, and if they believe they make sense for consideration by the VIT, they then make them candidates, which is where we are today. And then as a team, we review the potential candidates, and if we believe that they have merit, then we would then endorse them, and then follow that up by ranking them. So the first candidate issue we have before us is sort of owned and championed by Brian Maritsky. And if you would like to describe a little bit about this particular suggestion, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to endorse it.
Sure. Just quickly, if you're able to bring up the VLab and is that the one? No, that's not the right one.
Is this the right one? Oh, hold on a second. Got it. Here we go. I'm operating on a very small screen today, and it makes it very hard to see. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so basically when you're in the communities portlet, and if you're able to go, just show that on the screen, the communities page. In a separate window, yeah.
Is this what you were looking for?
Yeah, to some degree, but go to the community, go to the actual communities page, not the home page, yeah.
Alrighty, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So you basically have on there, you have the name and the members, but no other information about the community. In the development services, there's at least a point of contact. We were thinking that it would be worthwhile to add a column of the community owner or point of contact to that community. Often the communities are restricted in some way, which, I mean, that is somewhat understandable. That's okay. But not knowing who you're contacting or who's the point of contact for that community is a problem in not just my estimation, but some others as well. So that's where that is coming from, and hopefully it's a fairly easy thing to do, and that others will think that it's worthwhile as well.
So Brian, is it suggested then that on the community's page or that portlet that for all communities you'd want to list out the site administrators for it?
Site owner, yeah, site owners.
Or the owner.
Yeah.
So, okay, even for open community, because the other possibility is that if you click to access a restricted community, we could modify that in some way so that it gave you some indication of where it's being, who's doing the reviewing.
That could be. The only reason I would say having it up front is because even if you it's not a restricted community and you just go into an open community, you also don't necessarily know who is the community owner. So you walk into an open community, you don't necessarily know who the community owner, and it's nice to have that up front before you walk into the community.
Yeah, that's when I first read this, I thought maybe what you were wanting too is a portlet that you could put within a community that would basically list the owners. Is that something that would be worthwhile?
That, I think, goes to a separate issue that we've talked about before, looking back at our, I think that goes to the determining the VLab users. No. I guess I would say there's a broader need there, and the broader need is not just to be able to list owners, but maybe list the membership, the owners and the members. I know you can access that from the admin portal, but people might want to know who's in this community with them.
Yeah, I think there is a members portlet actually.
Okay.
It can be dropped on a community, but I don't believe it will tell you who the owners are. I'll confirm that. That might be a nice enhancement. So.
Because on the development side, when you're in Redmine, it tells you like the members of who you're working with, which is nice.
Right, it does that right on the front page. The overview tab.
Okay, there's your members directory. So you do have that. But yeah, either way, I think what we're more thinking is that on the front page you'd have something that says, here's the owner of each community. That way you don't have to dig down for that information.
Right.
Similar to the development thing that tells you who the point of contact is or the owner. So yeah, that's what the proposal is there. I would like to nominate it to be ranked, and what's our process again, John?
So we basically see if there's anybody has any questions for you, or if there's any discussion, and failing that, we would then agree to nominate it, to endorse it. So does anybody have any comments or questions concerning this particular issue? Does anyone object to endorsing this on behalf of the VLab? I'm sorry, the BIT? All right. So sounds like we will endorse it, and I will add it to the ranking spreadsheet, send out a note and let everybody know that it's ready to be ranked, and then hopefully we can get that done before the next meeting. All right. Let's see, the next several items I have been identified as responsible. These are typically suggestions that are either from the VLST or from individuals within the headquarters. let's see, the first one, in fact, the first and third one were submitted by Brad McCune, who we have here with us today. And so I'm going to bring up the first one and give him a chance to quickly describe what it is that he's looking for, and then we'll proceed from there.
Thank you. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. I'm awkwardly all the way across the room, even though John and I are the only ones in this massive room. This is coming out of a kind of realization as we begin to use the VLab more, especially in the hydro community. There are a number of little hydro communities that are popping up right now, the VLab, the VLCS, and the VLDS. And one thing that I'm starting to realize, and it's been mentioned by a couple other members of my team as well, is we're getting a bit lost in a sea of various collaborative endeavors. We are becoming more and more a part of a number of different communities, and it's a little bit cumbersome checking in with each community as our email continues to get flooded. We're an operational support group for the hydro modeling system shifts right now in operations of the RFCs and some WFOs, and so we already have enough to deal with in our email. So we're using the communities to try and get some of that conversation out of there, and it's a bit difficult trying to keep track of everything. So just looking for a way to be able to amalgamate a lot of this interactions happening in these individual communities into a single place for a user, kind of give a user a bit of a home, if you want to call it, so that they can check in and basically see the various places that they're interacting with all these communities in kind of one area, and then from there, be able to span out and go to whatever community they're interested in. I did some brief looking online for, capabilities of Liferay to be able to do this, and one thing that did sound very similar is the personal page, which is kind of built into your profile page within Liferay or VLab. And it doesn't seem to be enabled, and it seems like that would actually be a really great place to put it, because right now the alternative is kind of setting up a series of portlets or maybe a page with a bunch of the my, let's say like my subscriptions or whatever portlets within a given community, but you have to have kind of a community and like an internal one to be able to create those pages. So it'd be nice to be able to have kind of a central area for all of those connections to be able to view kind of at once, especially as your interactions with different communities slowly grows, which I think is pretty much the story for everyone at this point.
All righty. Any questions for Brad? All righty. Does anyone have any comments on whether we should? Yes.
Can we see the screenshot? I don't know if I missed it or whatever. Did you click on that screenshot that's down there?
Right. So this is something I sort of just fabricated or put together quickly. I don't think this is exactly what we would implement, but it gives you some sense of the idea that this would be something that only you would see, and it would have a list of activities that had happened at various points in time, and it would allow you then to go to the various communities where those activities took place if you wanted to review them further.
Yeah, so this is Ken. So some of the ideas that I think, so we did not turn on, so we have the externally accessible personal page, the profile page turn on, and that's like if you do a search and you find a user, it takes you there. So it's available to other users, but we didn't turn on the personal, the private personal page. And to be honest, the reason we didn't do it is we didn't there's so much going on in VLab, we didn't want to confuse people. But I agree that it would be a nice thing. I think some of the potential portlets that could be put on there would be your communities, so you could directly access your communities. You could also have your activity. We also have a portlet that would show your Redmine tickets. So that would be beneficial there. And then there were a couple others. Oh, the subscriptions. So your subscriptions, it would make sense. And so I think there were a couple others too that were along those lines where you could go to. It would be the announcements portlet would be perfect there as well, because it's catered to you and to the announcements that are specific to all the communities that you're within. So anyway, I think it would be a nice addition, and it wouldn't be difficult to implement.
All right. So does anyone object to endorsing VIT to endorse this particular issue? All right. Cool. And since we have Brad here with us, why don't we just quickly jump to his second suggestion? And go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, sure. So this one's pertaining to Redmine, the VLDS. And it's pretty simple. Just having some sort of within the interface, some sort of notification functionality, exactly as John's clicked on there within Redmine. As I said earlier, we're a support team that works with operational centers, and we get plenty of email already. So for Redmine, where we do all of our operational ticketing right now for that software, it's a bit cumbersome, or even more than I would call annoying to receive a notification in your email while you're looking at Redmine. Go look at your email to go back and look at Redmine. It'd be really nice. I think it would be really shallow to call it convenience. It would be really helpful to be able to just see the notification as it is within the interface and be able to navigate to whatever updated ticket or new forum post or document directly within the interface.
I think there's actually a plugin out there that would accommodate this kind of functionality. Seems cool.
I'm trying to understand what is being requested, so that Redmine has an enhanced notification that would allow to see change updates within Redmine. What does that mean?
So I think the concept here is so within Redmine, you'd be able to specify that you could say, okay, I want to be notified via email, or I want to be notified in the app itself. And so the notification, or it might be both, so that if you want to know anything related to Redmine, any actions, things like that are tied to you, you could log into the application and then have something like you have there that John's showing you, where any issues that have been assigned to you, any notifications, any issues that you're watching, they would all be there, so that you could have one place to go to and not have it clutter your inbox of your mail inbox. So that's the idea behind it.
Correct. Yeah, the idea is that you shouldn't have to navigate away from Redmine to look at the notification to come back to Redmine.
Any other questions or comments? All right. And does anyone object to endorsing this one? All right. And we will endorse it. All right. So let's see. So the next one on my list is this idea of Scrum support. This was submitted by, Warwick Moran. And the idea is that they do this agile development process, and they've got a number of things that they're trying to accomplish. Things called sprint task boards, burn down charts, stats, various logs, and so forth. And what they're currently doing is they're using a Google spreadsheet to do this. But the functionality that they're looking for actually exists in a Redmine plugin, which would allow them to do it all within the interface. And the interesting part about this is that, according to Warwick, there is a cost for doing this in terms of time it takes. And so by implementing this particular plugin, we would save them time and effort on their contract. So that's basically what I know about the request. Anyone have any questions? Although he does mention for his particular project, this would have potential appeal for other projects as well. So it's not just a one-off kind of thing. Does anyone object to having this endorsed by the VIT? All right, and we shall so indicate that it was endorsed, and we'll work on going ahead and prioritizing it in the spreadsheet. Let's see, so the next item on my list is, let's see, develop a portlet to show all the issues, and so there's basically, this is for the VLab, for collaboration services, so the community side of it. And what it's trying to do is implement something analogous to what's available in Redmine, and that's the My Pages thing. So we go to Redmine, and we go to our My Pages tab. You'll see that there's a bunch of tickets that you're currently assigned. So in this case, I'm assigned to these 72 issues, and here's the issues that I have reported over on this side. And so what is envisioned is a portlet in the virtual or in the collaboration services, which would essentially, using web services, pick up the same information available here and display it in somewhere in your community. So if you've got a community that mirrors a Redmine project, then this kind of information would show up inside your community, which would make it a little bit more convenient. All right. So does anyone have a question on, and by the way, I believe the functionality essentially exists in a raw form. We'd have to sort of make some improvements to make it ready for production, but the capability essentially exists at this point. Anyone have any questions regarding this proposed item? All right, shall we endorse it? All right, it's endorsed. And let's see, the last of mine is this enhanced project and user specification specific notification. And let's see, BLDS users are requested to, okay, so this is the idea that currently within Redmine, you can receive notices or notification when any ticket that you're a party to changes. And you get these emails when you first create it, and thereafter, anytime a change is made. And what this is proposing is that there would be an option that would allow a user to say, just give me notification when I create it, when one is created within this particular project. I don't want to see all the various changes that occur over time. I just want to know when something originally is set up in an issue is created. And so there's, I believe there's a plugin that exists to facilitate this capability, and that users are looking for that granularity in the amount of email traffic that they would receive from their Redmine projects. Any questions? right. Anyone object to endorsing this one? All right, endorsed.
Hey, John, I just want to make a plug, Brad again, because I'm not sure, but I think this may have been another one that I submitted. This is definitely relates to us in the operational hydro support field, because our project right now that we use to manage the software development requirements for chips and bug reporting and all that business is now done through Redmine. And one thing that we would really like to be able to do is to allow all of the folks who are members of that project, which happens to be a fair number of people from the RFCs, to be able to get that, be aware when new problems arise in the software reported by another office, and then they would be able to then watch it if they're truly interested in the follow-up. Right now, it's kind of an all or none type of situation where a lot of those users out there probably aren't terribly interested in hearing every little detail about every issue that comes in. However, they may want to see that first notification of, hey, we have a particular model that's not acting properly anymore. And then if it's something they use, then they can sign up for additional notification. So having just a new issue type of notification is, would be tremendous for us.
Okay. Let's see. I don't believe Tammy's on the line with us this afternoon. Are you there, Tammy? No. So I can go ahead and attempt to discuss these two items rather than pushing them off to the next meeting. So let me go ahead and I think this one is fairly self-explanatory. Basically, what they're looking for on the Redmine side is the ability to have some sort of chat functionality, so that presumably as they're working through some issue or whatever, they can quickly chat with somebody who may know more about it, or provide an update or something of that nature. And there seem to be available several services that would provide this support, Slack or HipChat. And so the idea behind this would be that we would figure out which, if any of them, would suit, work within the VLab, implement that so that people could chat using Redmine. Any questions? Anyone object to endorsing this? Okay, it's endorsed. And the final one is dynamic data lists. And so let me see if I had one. Yes, I do. Okay. So the idea here is that this is your quintessential dynamic data list in sort of table mode. And you notice that if you wanted to see all the ones submitted by requester Cox, you're essentially going to have to scroll down here and find all the Cox persons in the name. But ideally, what you'd like to do is just click on this, sort them by Cox, or by alphabetically, and then go to where Rob Cox's all his inputs were, and then you would see them, right? So we don't currently have that functionality as part of the dynamic data list, and so they're looking at modifying the DDL display such that you'd be able to sort on various fields, just like you would, say, in Excel or in Google Docs, for example. So that's what's being asked for here. Any questions? Anyone object to endorsing it? All right. So I will get these items up on our list, our Google spreadsheet for ranking, and let everyone know that they're available following the meeting. Which brings us to our next item on the agenda. And we probably have time to go through this, but if anyone has anything they'd rather discuss in terms of a forum item, then we can quickly do that. All right. If not, I shall bring up our list. Alrighty, so we'll quickly spin through our list of open action items and where updates can be made. We'll take a look at those. So scrolling down from the top, we have, I think this is an actual ticket that Ken has already discussed. It talks about determining VLab users for each of the VIT organizations. So for example, if you happen to be the VIT member for Western region and wanted to know who all your VLab users were and consequently contact them, then this would allow you to do that. And so I assume, Ken, that that's still open.
That's correct.
The next item is, let's see, so VIT members are continually encouraged to review the list of VLST feature tickets, and if there are tickets in there that make sense for VIT review, then they would be, then you as a VIT member could recommend that they be candidates for our review. So that continues to remain open. Let's see, so we need to research how the VIT VLST issues might be collected into releases and their process information summarized. And this was assigned to Ken. Was there anything you needed to update us on that, Ken?
Sorry, I got pulled into something else. So the question is, which one?
So
okay.
So we were talking about.
Yeah, I recall. Yeah, that's still open. We need, yeah. So.
And then let's see. There's another one. Investigate alternatives to adding a column to the My Communities tab as a way to enable users to leave the community they belong to. Do we have a ticket on that, Ken? I can go look for it if you know there's one.
Yeah, I know that there is a ticket on that, and so that's a easy fix. It's just, unfortunately, we removed that ability, or we removed the column from the My Communities tab to remove clutter, basically, but we didn't realize that it wouldn't allow you to remove yourself from a private community. So.
Okay.
So we just need to add that back. It's actually a easy fix. It's just it'll add a little bit of clutter to this display.
Okay. Let's see. So back in June, we had talked about, and John Ice had signed up to basically begin to formalize a team which would look at developing a strategic plan for the VLab in terms of, modifications, look and feel changes, that sort of thing. And they were to draft the charter. And I know John had talked about postponing that until we got a new chair in place, which we now have. So, John, do you have any plans going forward to move this ball along?
Yeah, this is John. My plan is to then start working on it. I may look at this month, but it probably won't be till after the first of the year.
Okay. Tammy's not here. I've worked with her a couple times on this issue where an individual had come before a project owners meeting, a community and project owners meeting, provided some good feedback, and Tammy was to work with them to see if there was anything that could be pulled out of that to become a issue, and I think she's still pending on talking to an individual. And I believe that's it. Okay. So, let's see, I think that concludes the review of open action items. Let's see, I turn it back over to Doug to discuss any any new items you'd like to discuss regarding our group as a whole.
I personally don't have any new items. open up the floor. Anyone have any new items that we need to take action on?
Okay.
Hearing lots of crickets.
Going twice? All right, cool.
All right, cool.
So I think the last agenda item is to quickly review open actions from this meeting. And I, as the executive secretary, have responsibility to take the candidates and update them to reflect that they are now endorsed and add them to our spreadsheet for ranking. And then send out a notice reminding folks to be sure and rank them. Were there any other actions that came out of this meeting? Okay. With that, I turn it over to you, Doug, for any final comments.
All right, guys. I guess we'll have our next meeting about mid-December, December 14th. Before the big push for all the Christmas and Hanukkah and all the other holidays that come in toward the end of December. So I have nothing else. Last chance for open forum. All right, I've not moved that the meeting be adjourned.
All right. Have a nice time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.